Hello. Welcome back, my friend. Today, we begin a quiet, thoughtful journey. A journey into the mindset of people who think differently. People who create value. People who see the world not as it is but as it could be. This video is called Think Like Rich People. Not about money. Not about luxury. But about principles, about vision, about the way rich minds understand life. So sit back. Take a slow breath. Let your mind relax. And let's walk through a story. A story that will help you learn English while learning the thinking patterns that separate the wealthy from the ordinary. Let's begin. Part 1. The road begins in the mind. Every journey begins long before the first step. Rich people understand this. Their journey begins inside the mind. With a single thought. With a single question, what is truly possible for me? Poor minds ask, what can I get right now? Rich minds ask, what can I build over time? They plant seeds even when the soil looks dry. They imagine the tree before the seed even touches the ground. This is where everything begins, in the silent space between your thoughts. In our story today, we follow a young man named Daniel. Daniel is not rich. He is not successful. He is not extraordinary. He is just normal. Like most people. He works hard, but nothing changes. He dreams, but dreams fade. He wants more from life, but he doesn't know how to start. Until one day one conversation with one stranger changes everything. And that conversation begins with a single question, how far can you see? Part 2, The Long View. On a quiet morning, Daniel sits in a small cafe. His eyes are tired. His mind is stressed. Life feels heavy. Across the room, an old man watches him. The man is calm. Slow. Peaceful. Like someone who has lived many lifetimes inside one life. He walks over and says, gently, "My boy, you look like someone who is drowning in short-term thoughts." Daniel looks up, confused. "What do you mean?" The old man smiles. "Most people only see today. Rich minds see 10 years from today." The old man continues, "Poor thinking asks, how can I survive this month? Rich thinking asks, what can I plant this month that will grow for years?" Daniel listens, and something inside him shifts. The old man places a hand on his shoulder. "Your life will change the moment you learn to think in decades, not days." And that was the day Daniel first heard the phrase, the long view. A principle that every wealthy person knows. A principle that every struggling person ignores. Part 3, Strategic Thinking. The next week, Daniel returns to the cafe. The old man is there again. Daniel sits beside him and says, "I want to learn. Teach me how rich people think." The old man replies, "Then learn this, rich people do not move randomly. They move strategically." He continues, "Every action has a purpose. Every step is part of a bigger plan. Every decision asks, does this take me closer to who I want to become?" Daniel nods. He realizes he has spent years working hard but without direction. Working without strategy is like rowing a boat without knowing where the shore is. The old man gives Daniel a simple exercise. Every morning, ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What is my long-term goal? 2. What is the one thing today that brings me closer to it? 3. What can I remove that distracts me from it? Do this daily. Your mind will sharpen. Your path will become clear. Your energy will focus. Daniel writes the questions in a small notebook. For the first time in his life, he feels a quiet sense of direction. A seed has been planted. Part 4, The Story of Daniel. Days turn into weeks. Daniel's life slowly begins to change. Not on the outside but on the inside. He starts thinking differently. He starts asking deeper questions. He starts stepping back and seeing the bigger picture. One evening, while walking home, Daniel whispers to himself, "If I keep thinking like the old me, I will keep living the old life." From that day forward, he chooses to think like someone who owns his future, not someone who reacts to life. That is the beginning of becoming rich. Not rich in money but rich in mind. Part 5, Principles of Rich Thinking. 1. Ownership, the foundation of a rich mind. One quiet afternoon, Daniel met the old man again. They sat under a soft golden sunset. Daniel asked, "Is there something all rich people have in common?" The old man answered slowly, "Yes. Every wealthy person has the mindset of ownership." He continued, "They own their time. They own their choices. They own their mistakes. And most importantly, they own their future." He paused, letting the words sink in. Most people are not poor because they lack money. They stay poor because they give their lives to circumstances instead of taking ownership. Daniel felt something shift inside him. If he wanted a rich life, he had to take responsibility for 100% of his life. No blaming, no complaining, no escaping. This was the first principle. 2. Leverage, rich people do not work alone. A few days later, the old man asked Daniel, "Do you know the biggest difference between the rich and the poor?" Daniel shook his head. The old man smiled softly. "The poor use effort. The rich use leverage." Daniel asked, "What is leverage?" The old man replied, "It is the ability to do more with less effort." Then he explained, "Poor people work alone. Rich people build teams. Poor people trade time for money. Rich people build systems. Poor people carry everything on their own shoulders. Rich people create mechanisms that carry them forward." He concluded, "Leverage does not only make you richer, it makes you freer." 3. Creating value, the heart of wealth. One morning, Daniel arrived with a serious look on his face. He asked, "Why do only a few people become rich, while most stay the same?" The old man answered calmly, "It is simple. The rich create value. The poor consume value." He leaned back in his chair. You cannot become wealthy by taking. You become wealthy by giving. Daniel frowned slightly. "Giving what?" The old man touched his chest gently. "Your knowledge. Your skills. Your solutions. Your ideas. And above all, your kindness with purpose." Then he said a sentence Daniel would remember forever: "Money is only a reward for the value you create." 4. Long-term discipline, the silent power of the wealthy. That afternoon, they walked along a quiet river. Daniel asked, "Why do I always start something, and then stop? Why can't I stay consistent?" The old man replied gently, "Because you think short-term. The wealthy master one thing: long-term discipline." He continued, "Step by step, discipline is not force. Discipline is love. Love for your future self." Daniel stopped walking for a moment. No one had ever explained it that way. The old man said, "If you do the right things every day, for many years, nothing can stop you from becoming wealthy." Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. 5. Lifelong learning, the fuel of wealth. On a gentle rainy day, they sat again in the familiar coffee shop. Daniel asked, "Why do rich people keep reading, learning, studying, and searching for new knowledge?" The old man took a slow sip of tea. Because they understand a simple truth: life changes every day. and knowledge is the only thing that keeps you standing in a changing world. He continued, the poor stop learning when they leave school. The rich begin learning from life itself. He leaned closer and said, learning helps you see what others fail to notice, opportunities in difficulties, roads in the dark. Daniel wrote carefully in his notebook, learning is leverage. Knowledge is the ultimate multiplier. 6. Emotional control, the survival skill of the rich. One of the hardest lessons came on a quiet evening. The old man said softly, Daniel, if you cannot control your emotions, you will never control your life. He explained, the poor make decisions when they are angry, when they're afraid, when they're impatient, when they're worried. But the rich make decisions when the mind is calm. Daniel asked, how do I calm my mind? The old man smiled gently. Through understanding. Through observation. Through stepping back and seeing life from a higher viewpoint. He placed a hand over his heart. You will become wealthy the day you learn not to let emotions rule you. Part 6, The Turning Point. A moment that changes everything. Weeks passed. Daniel kept meeting the old man, learning piece by piece, absorbing each lesson like dry soil drinking the first rain. But one afternoon something happened that changed him forever. Daniel received a message from his company. They were cutting staff. His position was at risk. Fear wrapped around his chest like cold metal. He rushed to the cafe, his hands shaking. The old man looked at him with calm eyes. Tell me what happened, he said softly. Daniel explained everything, the fear, the worry, the possibility of losing his job. The old man asked one question, and what did you learn from this moment? Daniel froze. He had been drowning in fear, but he had not learned anything yet. Seeing beyond the fear. The old man leaned forward. Daniel, he said, this moment is not a punishment. It is a mirror. A mirror? Daniel whispered. Yes. A mirror to show you the danger of building your life on something you do not own. Daniel swallowed hard. You see, the old man continued, when your income depends on one job, one boss, one company, one source, your life belongs to someone else. He paused, letting the truth sink in deeply. The rich think differently. They build multiple streams, multiple skills, multiple doors. They never put their entire life in one basket. Daniel looked at the floor, realizing how fragile his life had been. The old man placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. This fear you feel now is a gift. It is telling you, begin building your own future. The night of reflection. That night, Daniel could not sleep. He walked outside under the dim streetlights. His mind replayed the old man's words. He whispered to himself, I have lived by chance, not by choice. He realized he had spent years waiting for life to become better instead of creating a better life. The cool night wind touched his face. Daniel stopped walking. He stood still, listening to the silence. Then, slowly, with a deep breath, he made a decision, a quiet decision, but strong enough to change his destiny. No matter what happened with his job, he would no longer live in fear. He would no longer depend on one source. He would no longer let life push him around. From that night on, he would start building. Brick by brick. Skill by skill. Choice by choice. It was the beginning of a new Daniel. The first step toward wealth. The next morning, Daniel returned to the cafe. His eyes were different, calmer, clearer, focused. The old man smiled. I can see it, he said. You crossed the bridge. Daniel asked gently, "What bridge?" "The bridge," the old man replied, "between fear and responsibility." Daniel nodded. For the first time, he felt like the owner of his life. The old man said, "Now you are ready. Ready to think like a builder. Ready to think like someone who shapes his own destiny. Ready to think like the wealthy." Daniel sat down slowly. "I want to continue learning," he said. "I want to know how wealthy people build themselves every single day." The old man smiled. Daily habits that shape wealth. The next day, Daniel sat across from the old man with a notebook open and a renewed spirit. The old man began slowly, "Wealth does not start in your wallet. It starts in your mind, in your habits, and in what you choose to do every day." He lifted one finger. "First, the wealthy plan their days before the day begins." He lifted another finger. "Second, they protect their time. Time is the seed of everything." A third finger. "Third, they choose actions that build the future, learning, creating, investing, not escaping." Daniel wrote carefully, feeling each sentence like a guiding light. The old man added, "The rich live by design, not by accident." Why the wealthy think in years, not days. The old man leaned back. "Daniel, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 week but underestimate what they can do in 1 year." He continued, "The poor look for quick wins. The rich build slow victories." Daniel asked, "What is a slow victory?" The old man smiled. "A slow victory is the kind of action that feels small today but creates a huge change when repeated for many months." He explained, "Reading 20 minutes a day. Saving a small part of every income. Improving one skill little by little. These things look tiny, but they grow quietly." He tapped the table gently. "Wealth is not loud. It is quiet work, done consistently." Daniel looked up, feeling a calm determination. The rich choose their environment carefully. Later that afternoon, the old man asked Daniel a question, "Who do you spend your time with?" Daniel hesitated. I'm not sure. Mostly co-workers. Friends who complain a lot. People who think life is unfair." The old man nodded slowly. "That is exactly why your mind feels heavy." He spoke clearly, "The poor surround themselves with blame, excuses, and small thinking. But the rich choose an environment that pulls them upward, people who think bigger, people who take action, people who inspire." Daniel felt a gentle sting in his heart. He suddenly realized how deeply his environment shaped his mind. The old man concluded, "You do not rise above your environment. You rise with it. Thinking in possibilities, not limitations." The next day, Daniel arrived early. Before he could ask anything, the old man said, "Daniel, wealthy minds think in possibilities, not limitations." He continued, "When they see a problem, they ask, 'What can I learn? How can I turn this into an advantage? Where is the opportunity inside this challenge?'" He looked out the window. Most people block themselves before life does. They say, "I can't. I'm not ready. It's too late. I'm not good enough." Then he turned back to Daniel. "But when you think like the wealthy, you say, 'I can grow. I can learn. I can try. I can begin.'" Daniel closed his notebook, and placed his hand on his chest. "I want to think like that," he said softly. The old man smiled. "And you will. Because you have already begun." Part 8, The Investor's Vision. Rich people do not simply make money. They multiply money. How? Through a mindset that always asks, "How can this grow? How can this expand? How can this serve more people? To the rich thinker, every resource is a seed. Every moment is a chance. Every idea is an investment opportunity. But investment is not only about money. It's about vision. It's about understanding value. It's about seeing what others cannot yet see. Rich thinkers look at a small idea and imagine a future version that is bigger, stronger, more powerful. They don't just see what is. They see what can be. That is the investor's vision. 1. Investing in the future self. Before investing in businesses, before investing in property, before investing in markets, rich people invest in themselves. Because they understand, the mind is the greatest asset. They invest in learning, skills, experiences, mentors, relationships, health, discipline. These investments pay the highest returns. A poor thinker asks, is this expensive? A rich thinker asks, will this make me better? Growth is the real treasure. Improvement is the real wealth. 2. The rule of value creation. Here is a truth that rich thinkers understand deeply: money flows to those who create value. Not noise. Not complaints. Not wishes. Value. Ask yourself, what problem can I solve? What skill can I offer? How can I help someone's life become easier? If you create value, money will find you. If you avoid value, money will avoid you. This rule never fails. 3. Seeing opportunities before others do. The wealthy do not wait for opportunities to be obvious. They recognize opportunities when they are still invisible to most people. They observe trends early. They study human behavior. They watch how the world changes. They ask, what will people need next? What will become important soon? Where is the world moving? This vision gives them a head start. A powerful advantage. A clear direction when everyone else is still confused. 4. Risk with wisdom. Thinking like the rich does not mean taking blind risks. It means taking calculated risks. A rich thinker studies the upside, the downside, the possible scenarios, the worst-case possibilities, and the long-term consequences. They step forward boldly, but not blindly. They take risks with strategy, with knowledge, with preparation, with purpose. That is why their decisions look courageous, but never foolish. 5. Trusting time. Every investment needs time to grow. Most people quit because the reward is slow. They expect progress today. They expect results tomorrow. They expect success instantly. But rich thinkers respect the timeline of growth. They know, trees take years. Skills take practice. Wisdom takes experience. Wealth takes strategy. Results take patience. Time is not the enemy. Time is the partner. They trust the process because they trust themselves. Part 9, The Art of Thinking Big. Rich people think big. Not because they are special, but because they train their minds to see possibilities instead of limitations. Thinking big is not about ego. It is not about showing off. It is not about dreaming impossible dreams. Thinking big is about expanding your horizon beyond fear, beyond doubt, beyond the old stories that keep you small. It is the decision to say, I am capable of more. My life can be greater. My future can grow. My potential is still unfolding. 1. The mind shapes reality. A rich thinker knows this truth: your mind is the architect of your destiny. If your thoughts are small, your life becomes small. If your thoughts are bold, your life expands. People who think small say, I can't. It's too hard. I'm not ready. What if I fail? People who think big say, let me try. Let me learn. I can improve. What if I succeed? Big thinking does not guarantee success, but small thinking guarantees failure. 2. The space of possibility. Thinking big opens a new world. Suddenly, problems become puzzles. Obstacles become lessons. Failures become teachers. Dreams become maps. The rich mindset asks, how far can this idea go? What if I scale this? What if I multiply it? What if I turn this into something that helps thousands or millions? The poor mindset asks, is this safe? Is this too much? What if I lose? But the rich mindset understands, the world is larger than your fears. 3. Challenging the limits. Every human has invisible limits, rules created by society, family, friends, teachers, and even by yourself. Limits like, you should be realistic. Don't think too high. Stay where you are. Don't take risks. Don't dream too big. Rich thinkers gently break these invisible walls. Not with arrogance, but with courage. They ask, what if this limit is not real? What if it only exists in my mind? What if I have believed a story that was never true? The moment you challenge a limit, you weaken it. The moment you ignore a limit, you rise above it. 4. Vision creates direction. Big thinkers live with vision. Vision guides their steps, their decisions, their energy. Vision answers the question, where am I going with my life? Without vision, you drift. You wander. You react. You become lost. With vision, everything becomes aligned, your actions, your habits, your goals, your schedule. Vision is the compass of the rich mind. 5. Becoming the person who can handle more. When you think bigger, you must grow into the version of yourself who can handle success. Thinking big forces you to learn more, to plan better, to build discipline, to strengthen your mind. You become wiser, more patient, more resilient, more strategic. Because big goals require a big character. Rich thinkers don't chase success, they grow into it. 6. Why not me? This simple question has changed many lives. Rich thinkers keep it close to their hearts, if someone else can do it, why not me? This question removes fear. It removes doubt. It removes excuses. It opens the door to your higher self. It whispers, you are capable. You are worthy. You can rise. You can think bigger than this. And when your thinking expands, your world expands with it. Part 10, The Path of Self-Discipline. Rich people do not rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is a fire that never goes out. Motivation appears when you feel good. Discipline appears even when you feel tired, even when you feel lazy, even when you don't feel ready. This is why rich thinkers grow, because they act whether conditions are perfect or imperfect. They act when they feel inspired, and they act when they don't. 1. Discipline is a silent superpower. Discipline is not loud. It does not shout. It does not show off. It is quiet. It is steady. It is consistent. It is the simple decision, I will do it today because I said I would. You repeat it again and again, day after day, week after week. And slowly, discipline transforms you into someone powerful. Not instantly, but inevitably. 2. Small routines create big outcomes. Rich thinkers understand that discipline is built through small, repeatable habits. They know, a few pages read each day builds lifelong knowledge. A small amount saved each day builds future security. A short practice session each day builds world-class skill. A single rule followed each day builds a strong identity. The habits are small. The impact is enormous. Because consistency beats intensity. 3. The battle with the inner voice. Inside every person, there is a voice that whispers, "Not today. It's okay to skip. You deserve a break. You can do it later." Rich thinkers recognize that voice, but they don't obey it. They see it as part of the journey, a natural resistance that tries to keep them comfortable and small. Instead, they say, "I hear you. But I will do it anyway." This is how discipline is born. 4. Creating systems instead of struggles. People who struggle try to control their decisions moment by moment. Rich thinkers create systems, structures that support their goals. They design their environment. They simplify their choices. They remove distractions. They set clear rules. They follow schedules that work for them. Their discipline becomes easier not because they are stronger, but because their systems make success automatic. When your system is right, your life becomes easier. 5. Discipline builds freedom. Poor thinkers believe discipline is a prison. Rich thinkers know discipline is freedom. Freedom from fear. Freedom from regret. Freedom from wasted time. Freedom from financial stress. Freedom from confusion. Freedom from being controlled by emotions or impulses. Discipline creates a life you can be proud of. A life with direction. A life with strength. A life with purpose. 6. Becoming someone you respect. At the heart of discipline is something deeper, self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to admire yourself. You begin to believe that you can handle more, accomplish more, become more. Self-discipline is not a punishment. It is an act of love toward your future self. Conclusion: think like the rich. Daniel sat quietly one last time with the old man. The lessons had been many, the insights deep, and the path forward clear. The old man smiled and said, "Remember, Daniel, thinking like the rich is not just about money. It's about mindset, discipline, vision, and courage. It's about creating value, embracing failure, and investing in yourself. It's about seeing possibilities where others see limits." Daniel nodded. He felt a calm strength inside. A new way of seeing the world. A new way of seeing himself. And now, it is your turn. The principles are here, the lessons are clear, and the choice is yours. If you enjoyed this story, if you want to continue learning how to think like the rich, watch our other videos for more insights, stories, and strategies to grow your mind and your life. Subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications, so you never miss a lesson that could change your future. Remember, your journey to wealth starts in your mind. Start today. Think big. Act with purpose. And never stop learning.